My wife laughed in front of everyone and said I'd break without her. But what she didn't know was I had already seen everything, and in less than 48 hours, her entire world was going to collapse in a way she'd never see coming. The room felt too small, like every eye was waiting for me to react, for me to snap, to prove her right. Emily stood there beside Ryan, smiling like she had already won, like this was just another one of her toxic games. I leaned back, slow, controlled, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make it uncomfortable. That was the first moment something shifted. Because I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't guessing. I knew about the late nights, the hidden messages, the dirty secret she thought was untouchable. And the more she talked, the more confident she got, the more I realized she had no idea how deep this betrayal really went. I used to think silence meant weakness, that if you didn't defend yourself, you were losing. But sitting there, watching her perform, I understood something else entirely. Silence is what you use when you already have the outcome. Her voice kept going, sharper now, pushing, testing, waiting for me to crack. I didn't. I just watched. Because while she thought she was breaking me in front of that room, I was already 3 steps ahead, and she had just walked straight into something she wouldn't be able to walk out of. Emily and I had been married 8 years, the kind of life people called stable, suburban house, 2 cars in the driveway, quiet dinners that looked perfect from the outside. But perfection has a pattern, and once you see the cracks, you can't unsee them. It started small. Her phone always face down. Late, team dinners, that stretched past midnight. The way she'd smile at me, but her eyes were somewhere else. I told myself it was stress, that marriages go through seasons, but doubt doesn't fade, it sharpens. About 3 weeks ago, I came home early from a client trip, 3 hours ahead of schedule. The house was quiet, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Her car wasn't in the driveway, but the kitchen light was still on. That's when I noticed the second phone charger plugged into the outlet by the counter. We only had one. I didn't ask her about it. I didn't ask about the sudden gym membership she never mentioned or the credit card charges from places she'd never taken me. Instead, I started watching. Not reacting, not confronting, just collecting. Patterns turned into timelines, timelines into proof, and proof into something heavier than suspicion. Every busy night, lined up too perfectly. Every excuse felt rehearsed. And then Ryan appeared more often, not just as a coworker, but as a name that kept showing up where it shouldn't. I realized this wasn't random. It was planned, layered, intentional. And the more I uncovered, the clearer it became. This wasn't just betrayal. It was something she thought she could control. What she didn't realize was, I had already found the one detail she forgot to hide, and it changed everything. I stopped guessing and started verifying, and that's when things stopped looking like coincidence, and started looking like a system. Emily's schedule wasn't random, it repeated. Same nights, same gaps, same 2-hour windows where her location just disappeared. Not bad signal, not dead zones, just clean gaps like someone had learned how to vanish on purpose. I checked the bank logs next. Small charges, nothing flashy. $18 here, $42 there, always within a 10-mile radius we never went to together. Places with names I didn't recognize, but they showed up again and again like a pattern trying to stay hidden. Then came the rideshare receipts. She never used rideshare. Said she didn't trust it. But there they were, time-stamped right after those. Team dinners, all ending within half a mile of the same address. I drove past it once, just to see. Normal street, quiet, nothing special. But the mailbox had 2 names on it, and one of them wasn't hers. That should have been enough, but it wasn't what locked it in for me. It was her laptop. She left it open one morning, just slightly, like she thought she'd closed everything. No messages, no obvious trails. Too clean. But the browser autofill betrayed her. One saved login. One account she never mentioned. I didn't open it right away. I just stared at the name on the screen because it didn't belong to her, and it definitely didn't belong to me. I didn't wait anymore. I opened the account. The screen loaded slow, like it knew it was about to ruin something, and when it did, everything snapped into focus. It wasn't just messages. It was conversations going back months, layered, calculated, precise. Plans, excuses, timing, every move mapped out like I was never even part of the equation. My name showed up only once, buried in a thread where she wrote, "He won't notice. He never does." I read that line twice, then a third time, not because I didn't understand it, but because I finally did. This wasn't impulsive. This was practiced. I felt something shift again, but this time it wasn't confusion turning into clarity. It was patience turning into intent. I started moving faster. Screenshots, backups, timestamps. Every detail locked down, every piece stored somewhere she couldn't reach. That same night, she walked in smiling, dropped her keys on the counter like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just spent hours living a completely separate life. She kissed my cheek, casual, effortless, and asked how my day was. I told her it was quiet. That was the truth. Quiet enough to hear everything I needed. She didn't notice the difference in me, not yet. But I noticed everything in her, the way she avoided eye contact just a second too long, the way her phone lit up and she turned it away without thinking. The game wasn't hidden anymore. It was exposed. And for the first time, I wasn't reacting to it, I was controlling it. The next morning, I made one call, set one meeting, and signed one document she didn't know existed, and that's when things stopped being reversible. I didn't slow down, I tightened everything. The meeting I set wasn't random, and the document I signed wasn't small. It was the kind of move you make when you're done hoping things might fix themselves. Over the next 72 hours, every piece started locking into place. Her schedule stayed the same, like she was confident, like nothing had shifted. But now I was inside the pattern, not outside it. I knew exactly when she'd leave, exactly when her phone would go silent, exactly when Ryan's name would light up her screen. I even tested it once, sent her a message right when I knew she wasn't where she claimed to be. She replied 3 minutes later, perfectly timed, perfectly wrong. That was all I needed. I stopped checking after that. Not because I didn't care, but because I already had enough. The evidence wasn't just proof anymore, it was leverage. And leverage changes everything. That same week, she brought up money for the first time in months, casually asking about accounts, about long-term plans, about what we had built together. I almost smiled. Because what she thought was still shared, wasn't. Not anymore. Every account had already been restructured, every asset repositioned, every legal angle sealed tighter than she could imagine. She was still playing the old game, still thinking she was ahead, still believing I was the man she could outmaneuver. But she wasn't seeing the board the way I was now. And the closer she leaned into her plan, the clearer it became. She wasn't just hiding something, she was preparing for something she thought would destroy me. She wasn't just cheating, she was setting me up. That was the twist that hit harder than anything else. Buried deep in those messages wasn't just flirting or meetups, it was strategy. Screenshots of our bank accounts, twisted explanations of transactions, even drafts of statements she planned to use. "If he reacts, I win," she wrote to Ryan. "If he leaves first, it's over for him." I sat there staring at the screen, realizing this wasn't about love, or even betrayal anymore. This was a controlled exit, engineered to make me look unstable, irresponsible, replaceable. She wanted the house, the accounts, the narrative. And Ryan? He wasn't just the other guy. He was part of the plan, feeding her advice, pushing her to escalate, to provoke me in public, to make me crack. That night at the dinner, the humiliation wasn't random, it was a test run. A trigger. They needed me to lose control so they could justify everything that came next. But I didn't. I stayed silent. And that silence broke their entire strategy. Because while she was building a case against the man she thought I had already become someone she couldn't predict. Every document I signed, every account I moved, every piece of evidence I secured, it wasn't defense. It was positioning. By the time she realized I wasn't reacting the way she expected, it was already too late. Because the moment she tried to pull the trigger on her plan, she was the one who had nothing left to stand on. The moment it all clicked, I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity, sharp and steady, like something finally locking into place. For weeks, maybe months, I had been reacting to shadows, second-guessing myself, wondering where I went wrong. But now there was no confusion left, no doubt to wrestle with. Emily didn't just betray me, she underestimated me. And that changed everything. I stopped seeing her as my wife in that moment, and started seeing her as someone playing a game she thought she had already won. The difference was, I was no longer playing by her rules. That night, when she walked into the house, nothing in me moved toward her. No questions, no tension, no hesitation. Just calm. She noticed it too. I could see it in the way she paused for half a second longer than usual, like something about me didn't match the version she had built in her head. She tried to fill the silence, talking about her day, about work, about things that didn't matter anymore. I nodded where I needed to, said just enough to keep the illusion alive. But inside, the shift was complete. I wasn't waiting for answers anymore, I already had them. I wasn't hoping for honesty, I had proof. And most importantly, I wasn't afraid of losing anything, because everything she thought she could take was already out of reach. She still believed she was setting the final move, still convinced she was in control. But watching her sit there, unaware, I realized something almost unsettling. She had no idea she had already lost. By the next morning, I stopped observing and started executing. I called my attorney at 8:15 a.m. sharp, confirmed every document we had prepared, and gave the green light to move forward. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Within hours, the joint accounts were legally frozen under review, the property ownership structure activated exactly as planned, and every asset she thought she could claim was already protected behind layers she didn't even know existed. That evening, I invited her to dinner, same restaurant, same kind of setting she used to test me. She walked in confident, composed, like she was about to deliver her final move. I let her sit, let her speak, let her follow the script she thought would corner me. Then I slid a folder across the table. No raised voice. No emotion. Just facts. Her expression changed before she even finished the first page, confusion, then disbelief, then something sharper. "What is this?" she asked, but her voice didn't carry the same certainty anymore. I leaned back, calm, steady, and told her exactly what it was: legal notice, financial separation, documented evidence of her actions, all time-stamped, all undeniable. Ryan's name was there too. That's when the controls shifted completely. She tried to speak, to adjust, to recover, but there was nothing left to maneuver. Every angle she thought she had was already closed. I didn't argue. I didn't explain further. I just stood up, left cash on the table, and walked away. Because this time, she wasn't the one deciding how it ended. The next few days were quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't ask questions because it already knows the answers. Emily called twice, then stopped. No dramatic messages, no apologies, no anger, just silence, the same kind she once used against me. But this time, it didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. The legal process moved forward exactly as planned, clean and precise, every detail already accounted for before she even realized she needed to respond. Ryan disappeared from the picture just as quickly, like he understood there was nothing left to gain. The house felt different too, not empty, just clear, like something toxic had finally been removed from the air. I walked through each room without that underlying tension, without second-guessing every sound or glance. For the first time in a long time, everything felt exactly what it was, real. People think betrayal breaks you, that it leaves you damaged or chasing closure. But what it actually does, if you let it, is show you exactly where you've been standing blind. I didn't lose control. I didn't fight for something that was already gone. I stepped back, saw it for what it was, and moved before it could take anything from me. Emily thought silence meant weakness, that if I didn't react, I didn't understand. But she was wrong about one thing that changed everything. I understood perfectly, and that's why I didn't need to say a single word.